All right. I'm going to stop sharing. All right. Well, I just want to welcome everyone to today's program. We're so excited to have you here today. This program is actually through a really wonderful partnership for something called Mental Health Shabbat, which is a program run through JCFS Chicago and No Shame on You and the Chicago Board of Rabbis. And I just want to tell you briefly about the organizations. No Shame on You is dedicated to eliminating stigma associated with mental health conditions. So people who need the help will seek it, and family and friends will be able to know how to provide proper support and save lives. And we achieve our mission through a lot of education programs, workshops that we customize for schools and for camps and for adults and nonprofit organizations. We have blogs and podcasts, all resources and more. Check us out. I'll put the link in the chat to us before the program ends. And as I mentioned, we're partnering with JCFS Chicago, which has been in the Chicagoland community, strengthening the lives of children, teens, and adults for more than 160 years. And they have a vast range of services, ranging from clinical services, therapy, groups, therapeutic day schools, counseling, support groups, career services, services for people with disabilities and their families, services for immigration, citizenship and refugee settlement services, and so much more. So we thank them. And finally, the Chicago Board of Rabbis, for those who don't know, brings together over 180 rabbis representing conservative, Orthodox, Reconstructionist, and Reform streams of Jewish life in the Chicago area. Our programs are open to everybody, so we're excited to see everyone who's not from the Chicagoland area. And now we are here for embracing chaos through art. We are with a dear, dear colleague, and I will say friend now, who is a mental health stigma advocate. And that's why I like to go to her for anything for art. Bari Fleischer is the chair of graphic arts and design and the coordinator of student services for the PAL program, which we'll talk about at Touro University's Blitzstein Institute of Hebrew Theological College. Bari received a BA in Fine Arts from Northeastern Illinois University and her MFA from Fine Arts from the San Francisco Art Institute, and is currently a doctoral candidate in disability and equity in education at National Louis. Welcome, Bari, and take it away.
Hi, thanks, Wendy. Before I get started today, I am going to encourage each and every one of you, if you are able to, because I know not everybody's able to, but if you are able to share your video so I can see your lovely faces, I would really appreciate that. And if not, please do not hesitate to share. Like, I will not hold it against you. I recognize some of you I do not recognize. So welcome back to those of you I know, and hello. And to those of you I don't, I want to thank you all for being here to join me. And I want to thank No Shame on You and Wendy and JCFS and the Chicago Board of Rabbis for letting me present this important topic and project to you today. I'm going to do my best to keep this short and sweet because I know how important everybody's time is, but I do think it is extremely important in terms of the topic we're going to be talking about. So as Wendy said, I'm Bari Fleischer. I currently work at what is now Sarah Hartman Women's College of Touro of HTC. I am the Art and Design Chair, I am the Student Services Coordinator, and I am the Director of the Rolla Klepak Performing Arts Leadership Initiative, which provides performing arts programming to disadvantaged girls and girls with disabilities in the Jewish community in Chicago, grades 1 through 9. And my college students all teach that, which is amazing. So through my work and research impacting audiences with mental health disorders, disabilities, and disadvantages, I decided to pursue my doctorate in disability and equity in education, and I'm currently in the process of that. And through all of this research, I have come to many conclusions and found out a lot about our community. So before we get started, I really want to talk about the nuanced difference between the therapeutic arts and art therapy. So today we're going to talk about the therapeutic arts, which completely differs from art therapy, which some of you may or may not know. And should you enjoy this session, or should something come up that you'd like to explore, I'm going to encourage you to seek out an art therapist, as art can be an amazing tool to engage yourself and others with overcoming difficult emotions, traumas, and processing. I am not an art therapist, but I have been working in the therapeutic arts for around 20 years. So you will need a licensed individual in art therapy to process these experiences through art. Today, we're focusing more on utilizing the arts as a therapeutic tool to normalize difficult emotions and to provide a space for reflection within ourselves and in our community. So I think that's really important to see the difference. Now, I'm going to preface the next session with the note that if you're uncomfortable sharing, whether yourself or writing in the chat, please do not feel the need to, as we are all on a different path within our process. I've worked with individuals with disabilities and mental health disorders within educational institutions and therapeutic organizations for around 20 years. I grew up with two parents who were special educators, and for me, not fitting in within the normal curve was normalized in certain areas of my life. While I have my own challenges, I'm researching ways not only through my therapeutic process, but through my work in my doctoral program and within my career to better educate myself and others on the normalization of disabilities and mental health disorders. So today we're going to be focusing on mental health. Now I'm going to ask a question again. Please do not feel like you need to reply. You can just give me a thumbs up with your reactions, or you can write in the chat. How many people here have felt a shift in their mental health recently? It can be a positive or a negative shift. I'm going to raise my hand because I definitely feel that. It can be from world situations to personal situations. These shifts don't necessarily need to take on a negative connotation and can span many spectrums. So perhaps it's because of the time change. I know I really struggle with waking up when it's dark, going to work, and then coming home and it's still dark outside. I don't even know if the sun exists some days. Perhaps it's because of current events that are happening in our world. It could be a family situation, a relationship. What's important is that we recognize that something around us is shifting. We can recognize the shift within ourselves, or we can see it within others around us. So it's not only internal, it's community-wide. And all of these changes, these shifts, and these feelings, they're not permanent. And that's something we need to accept. We will forever be feeling a spectrum of emotions and sensations that will ebb and flow throughout life. Believe me, I am still in the process of accepting this. Radical acceptance is a huge challenge to me. I'm going to sit here as a hypocrite saying you should challenge, but it really takes time and effort to get to the point where you can accept that. And I've learned that the rational side of my brain knows how to try to not fight it. So that's all I'm requesting of you today. So this journey, the changing discourse surrounding the openness of sharing mental health journeys and the shifting cultural paradigms create a sort of chaos both within us and around us. Has anybody here heard of the word sonder before? It's not a well-known word. It's one of my new favorite words. And what sonder means is that there's a relation or a realization that each individual or each passerby around you has a life that is as vivid and complex as your own. So I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. It's realizing that everybody around you, so if you look around this room, there are 13 of us, and that each and every one of us has our own life, our own issues, our own trajectory, our own goals. And this realization is kind of crazy when you think about it. So we all have our own context, our own issues, our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own actions that may never affect you, as in the greater community, but they affect you personally. And we don't realize that sometimes. So to take a moment to sonder is very important. And it's crazy to think that this is what we're talking about today, the realization that each one of us has our own unique life with ups and downs, and to realize that it makes sense that through community, we're not alone in these experiences. While we may not openly share them, each one of us, if we were more open about it, could normalize that situation. So this alone can provide a normalization within self that can be a good starting point for confronting mental health challenges that may arise. Once we've sondered a bit, perhaps we can engage someone in a conversation about it. From there, perhaps that someone we have engaged will see that vulnerability is, in fact, creating a platform for strengthening this discourse, this conversation surrounding mental health issues, and then encouraging that person to move forward to share their story, or perhaps just be a listener, but in turn normalizing the conversation surrounding it. Through this activism that we're doing, just one person who has sondered, we can move forward to make changes within our close-knit circles, our communities, and perhaps the world. I know I've gotten ahead of myself, but what's wrong with dreaming? So I digress. When it comes to mental health, the arts can provide many benefits to individuals. My first research surrounding the arts had to do with engaging individuals with disabilities and seeing that no matter what ability someone has, mostly everyone can participate if the arts are involved. My job is to train people from all around different careers and backgrounds how to utilize the arts within their practice to aid those who are struggling or left behind. This research then led me to more silent disabilities, including those who struggle with mental health disorders, myself included. For a while, I lost myself and I withdrew from society. I withdrew from my community. I disengaged from the world, news, friends, family, and I was lost in a sea of thoughts in my head. There was a nonstop kind of chatter or conversation that was full of shoulds, woulds, coulds, what ifs, what's that? How did this happen? Why is this happening? I had song verses on repeat, counting and ticking, and needed silence surrounding me at all times. I felt unhinged, like the ground was falling out beneath me. My heart was always racing, my stomach was always in knots, and my hands were always shaky. The story leading me to this point isn't as important as where I went with it. And what did I do when all this happened? I stayed silent. I kept these thoughts, the feelings, the sensations that accompanied them all to myself. And I put up a mask of, oh, I'm fine and everything's okay. It finally took a mental breakdown to get the help I needed. And through that, I found a community of individuals with similar issues in a therapeutic setting. As I brought this knowledge out into my friend circles, I noticed a stigma surrounding these topics and the hush-hush mentality people have when it comes to these things. It then became my mission to not only research why these societal constructs exist and how they got there, but figure out a way to talk openly about mental health disorders and normalize them while sticking to my wheelhouse of utilizing the arts. And my work began at my job here at Sarah Hartman, listening to my students and watching how they learn and watching how they react when I talk about mental health in my courses and watching how they go through the process of realizing that they might need help as well. And by this, we build a community of vulnerability and openness and sharing where we can then seek the help that we need through the arts and get to where we are today. So I knew about the benefits of the arts intrinsically through my studies and being an artist and an educator, because before I got to the point I am today, I was a fine artist. I did large-scale installations, sculptures, and paintings. But then I thought of how I would be able to advocate for the normalization of individuals with mental health disorders while incorporating the arts. This was a really chaotic process within itself. And finally, it clicked. All I needed to do was provide concrete evidence, both qualitative and quantitative, that showed not only the benefits of the arts on individuals with mental health disorders, but the arts in general. Did you know that just spending 20 minutes a day coloring on a coloring sheet can reduce anxiety? Did you know that listening to music can help regulate your emotions or even elicit certain emotions? So if you are in a negative mindset, playing a song that makes you happy can shift that. Did you know that individuals who participate in some form of the arts have better memory retention, better communication skills, better interpersonal relationships? I'm just reading the notes. I'm trying to keep up. So Wendy, if I miss something super important, please let me know. By utilizing the arts, it can boost your self-esteem and the ability to advocate and communicate your needs. People who utilize the arts keep up with fine motor skills and are more cognitive thinkers. So when it comes to mental health, some of the effects it can have on us are losing track of time, our memory, and our ability to focus. I, for one, when I was going through all of my issues, and I still am, sometimes cannot concentrate, cannot use a timeline to make goals for myself. And by engaging in the arts, it helps reset that for me. It helps me focus. The arts can bring us back to being aware of present moments and to build up our functioning to better address and overcome the effects from our mental health. The arts teach us patience and communication in a totally different format than we're used to. So through intensive research and many papers on the arts and mental health, I've turned my focus to the Jewish community and looked at the stigma and labels that affect us all. My work is now to bring awareness to it and to advocate for a positive change, a shift, and begin to open a new conversation and openness surrounding mental health in order to normalize it. I'm doing this through the arts. The arts can seem like a less daunting approach that provide their own language through visual or auditory that others can use for themselves and talk about the process with our community. So when you're a person struggling with mental health, it may be difficult to accept that you need help, and it may be hard to ask for it. However, maybe a small step like engaging in the arts can be less overwhelming and more attainable. Now you may be sitting here saying, I'm not an artist. I can't draw. I can't paint. I can't do this stuff. I can't play any musical instrument. Well, I'm here to tell you, the arts are not limited to your concept of what the traditional arts are. There's so much more. We can listen to music. We can write poetry. We can write stories, write lyrics to convey what we're feeling. We can see a Broadway show or local community theater. We can make a line work or marks or squiggles or movements to get out those negative sensations or represent an emotion or subject we might not have the words for. We can dance in our kitchens to let out our pent-up energy. And even if our friends and family might look at us weirdly, not saying from personal experience, it's all okay. This is just a great suggestion for a first step we can take that can involve just us. It could also involve your family or friends, but it can involve the community like we're doing today. The arts allow us to use a different modality of expression and process when we may lack words for what we're going through. They allow an opening for process in a way that differs from talk therapy. They can be accessible wherever you are, no matter what supplies you have, from rhyming words to movement to breath work to rhythm and beat. Through this, we can embrace the chaos life throws at us and use that to create. I'm going to call it chaos to creation spectrum because we were talking about spectrums before. And I don't know how many of you know I'm a huge fan, know Paul McCartney, but Paul McCartney wrote an album, I think I don't even want to like age myself here, a couple of decades ago, titled Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, and a song about how there's a fine line between chaos and creation. And I'm here to tell you that's completely true. Through normalizing talks surrounding mental health and utilizing the arts, we can take that fine line and cross back and forth over the border as many times as we need to in order to process and build resilience. And this brings us to our hands-on demo for today. So I don't know who came prepared, but what you're going to need is a pencil, pen, marker, any drawing utensil that you have in a piece of paper. That's it. It can be a Post-it note. It can be a printer sheet of paper. It can be your old grocery list that you wrote down. Just don't use your hand. I will suggest that if you have a larger paper, that's probably better for you. So I'm using just white printer paper, and I have a stack of it because I am using a Sharpie marker, and I don't want to get Sharpie on my desk. So if you are using a Sharpie, please make sure you have something underneath of your paper so you don't get it on your desk, because you will be very sad. And then you'll have to do more to process that sensation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the project first, and then we're going to do it together. And it's a quick project, and we can process it when we're done. I'll have a couple of notes, and then should you have any questions or want to share, I always hold up my projects on here. And I think last time, Wendy, I might have drawn you, but we're doing something totally different today. And this is something, despite your abilities, anybody can really do. And should you feel uncomfortable at any moment, there are different ways to process utilizing the same project with a different approach, but the same outcome. And I'm going to talk about that as well. So what we're going to do today, and I don't want you to start yet because, again, I'm going to demo first. We're going to draw our breath, and that may seem like a completely abstract thing. It is. This may seem strange, but what it does for us is it allows us to have a mindful moment. And I'm sure we've all talked about or heard about mindfulness in our contemporary world. And mindfulness makes us aware of present moment situations. You must keep in mind, this is super important. I tell every single student who comes across my path this. When we are doing this, we are not judging our thoughts. We are not judging our feelings or emotions, our attention, and most importantly, we are not judging our artistic ability. Within this project, there are no goods and no bads. It's just a process. So our brains sometimes get caught up in the chaos of the world that surrounds us, of things that have happened, of things that may happen, of our to-do lists, of things we might have forgotten, of questions, of balance, would, shoulds, what ifs. What's important about mindfulness is that you are attempting to relinquish those thoughts and are present in the moment, focusing on the now. The sensations that you have in your body are completely okay, but it's letting go of your mind. If you happen to start to focus on something outside of the present moment, all you need to do is redirect your thoughts back to the present and focus on this project. If you find that you're feeling uncomfortable, you're going to note it and you're going to accept that sensation. If you notice your mind is wandering, you're going to try to bubble those thoughts and send them away and bring yourself back to the task at hand. No pun intended. So what you're going to do, and I will guide you through this as we begin, you're going to begin to breathe deeply in and out, and you will take a deep breath in and then let that breath go slowly. And what this does for us is it's going to allow us to slow down our minds and our bodies. And you're going to let go of the chaotic thoughts, all the sensations, all the surroundings, and just follow your breath. And then what you will do is you're going to bring your eyes to your hand, the one that's holding your marker, pen, pencil, whatever you're drawing with. And with each inhalation, you're going to draw a line upward, and then you're going to bring it down with each exhalation, and you're going to continue until the time is up. So I will show you what it will look like. And this is just my breath course. So if I were to take in a deep breath, you can hear my marker, I'm sure. And exhale, and inhale, and exhale. And what I'm doing, obviously I'm talking, but during our time, you're going to be listening, and you will focus on the breath in, the sensations in your body, and really focus on the sounds that the marker makes, on your line marks, etc. When you inhale, when you exhale, and when you're all done, you're going to have a page full of these lines that represent your inhales and your exhales, and you're just going to note those sensations and those thoughts. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to start with one really deep breath in. So take a deep breath. We're going to hold for 3, and then you're going to release the breath. Take another deep breath and exhale. And through this deep breath work, I want you to find a rhythm to your breath. And you're going to begin to breathe deeply and exhale at your own pace. Your own pace will not keep up with mine. It will not keep up with anybody else's but your own. You're going to attempt to slow your breaths, but be mindful of your process. If you notice any thoughts, you will set them aside. What I'd like you to do next is take your drawing utensil. You're going to start either on the right side or the left side of your paper, and you're going to begin to draw your line upward as you breathe in and bring it down as you breathe out. And watch and feel the process as you go. You're setting your thoughts aside. If you notice any sensations, you're going to note them for later or accept them and move back to the process. Breathe in non-judgmentally. As you breathe out, swing that line down. I want you to think as you're going through this process, what does your body feel like? How does your hand feel on the paper? Is your drawing utensil making a sound? Are you noticing a difference in your lines? Are they sharp? Are they round? Accept that they are your lines. These breaths, the pace you're going, your thoughts, your sensations are your own subjective experience. And if you run out of paper, you're just going to be breathing. So keep going. Let's take a few more deep breaths in and out. One more deep breath in. Hold for 3. And release. So if you would like, you can hold up your lines to the screen so we can all see them. I did not do it the second time because I was guiding you. Very nice. Wonderful. I love to see the differentiation between everybody's and to realize that we are sondering right now, that we all have our own breaths, our own emotions, our own thoughts and experiences. And what I would like you to do with this, with your lines, your breath work, is to reflect on the process. Maybe something came up that you weren't expecting. Maybe a name to an emotion came to the forefront of your mind. Acknowledge that, taking these small moments to bring your attention to all of your mind and body, that the arts can help center you. They can help label the unlabeled, break from the chaos, and begin to process and understand how important our mental health is and how important even a small break and some deep breath work can be. So before I finish speaking for today, I want to give you some guidance on your own process and some suggestions. Should you not be a traditional artist and mindfulness may not be your jam, not speaking from experience and non-judgmentally because I hate it most of the time, you can engage in poetry writing. You can take the project we did today and creatively write a reflective response using extreme adjectives that challenge you and your vocabulary or synonyms. You can work your breaths into movements where rising and falling may take on a dance-like visual. You can listen to a song to do your work to that, the breath work. You may not realize that the arts encompass a broader range that most don't think about, and even by interacting with someone else, you're performing by utilizing facial expressions and voice intonation. What's important is to note these moments, to reflect on them, and through them bring awareness to a different type of process that can be very helpful when it comes to mental health. Perhaps you can use this session as a way to begin a conversation with someone else, and through this, we can work to normalize the process and create an openness surrounding mental health through the arts. So I want to thank you all for spending the last 30 minutes with me. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself and talk. I'm usually pretty friendly. So Wendy, thank you again so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Bari, thank you. On behalf of No Shame on You, JCFS Chicago, And to the Board of Rabbis, thank you, thank you. And to everyone who's just zooming in because they saw the program. Bari, you rock. And thank you, everyone. I don't think we have any questions, but we'll hang on for a minute or two afterwards if anyone wants to hang in the virtual lobby, as I call it. But I just wanted to let folks know that our next Feed Your Mind series tomorrow or this week is what's the deal with the winter blues? So if anybody hates winter as much as I do, that's happening this week on the 24th. We also have our virtual yoga happening tomorrow and every second and fourth Tuesday at the month at No Shame on You Yoga with a special focus on well-being happening this week as well. So those are the next two things. If there's anything, and you want to shout out anything upcoming on JCFS? Nope, not right now, but check out her website or check out the JCFS website for all their services, groups, and more. And with that, we wish everyone a great week. I know I'm chill. I'm chill to the max right now. As I said when I was a kid, I'm chillaxed. That was a word we made up in high school. That is chill and relax together. So I hope everybody is chillaxed with us today. And we'll see you all soon.